Scale is the last, but not least, of our 16 key factors. You can think of it as a growth hormone for each of the other key factors. It's the key for all keys. Scale amplifies. It enables bigness and greatness. It facilitates depth. It's a bit like a telescope, allowing us to see and go beyond the usual limitations. But at the other end of the spectrum, scale is also like a microscope or magnifying glass, paying attention to detail. And everything ultimately boils down to detail. Scale is also a succession or progression of steps or degrees. These are essential for measurement, without which precise understanding might not be possible. Context matters. The parts or circumstances are important for understanding the whole. Maps are an easy to understand example of this, illustrating how the measurement of scale is pertinent. If we want a map of the world, we use a scale of 1 to 50 million. If we want a map of South Africa, we need a scale of 1 to 2.5 million. But for a map of Komsberg Wilderness Nature Reserve, showing as much detail as possible, we need a scale of 1 to 50,000. To be precise, we need 2 adjoining maps because Komsberg is so big. Whilst I'm mentioning Komsberg, it's really difficult to get across to team members who haven't worked there yet just how huge the reserve is. We can use numbers. It's 17 miles across, 30,700 acres or 125 square kilometres in size, even drawing comparisons to other physical locations. But this only partly conveys the vastness of Komsberg. We can and do say that we own and manage a number of mountains, and that top to bottom they're the same as England's highest mountains, Scafell Pike and Helvellyn in the Lake District, only much higher above sea level. We can add that our lower valley has thousands of trees along a major seasonal river with numerous tributaries, and that our upper plateau goes on for miles. And we've got plenty of visual aids, maps, lots of photos, and video film. None of this sufficiently communicates Komsberg's enormous size. You have to be there, walking the many miles of perimeter fence, 62 miles to be exact, to really understand how big the place is. But we really struggle when it comes to describing scale, our 16th key factor. Despite our best efforts, we always miserably fail to get across its enormity. Everyone underestimates what's possible in terms of human potential. Language doesn't help. It's especially suited to elaborating on the mundanity of normal. When we're trying to vary or expand on our efforts to communicate what we know about shifting between different psychological paradigms, the range of words often aren't there. We struggle to get across this invaluable knowledge. If you've had a oneness experience, you'll understand scale, even though these experiences are considered to be ineffable, almost impossible to put into words. But the vast majority of people haven't had such a glimpse of our evolutionary future, so this pointer is rarely of use. We can and do use words like significant, huge, massive, fundamental, and so on. But they're still limited, inadequate. Thankfully, we don't resort to hype, so when we say something is significant or fundamental, we mean it, free of any silly exaggeration. You need a paradigm shift to fully appreciate what it's like being the best you can be, not just excelling in one narrow aspect of life, but in everything you do. Scale is the rocket booster. As you progress further and further, there's greater and greater capability and capacity for being, living, open-ended in terms of scope. Expressing this another way, it's the elimination of small-mindedness. You see all the detail, all the bigness. There's no avoidance, no bias. People think and act within conditioned or unnecessarily self-imposed I can't limitations. In one way, there are limits. No matter how much you develop your potential, climbing Mount Everest naked is genuinely not on. It's a ridiculous step too far. But real impossibilities aside, limitations are just in the head. They're mental constraints, and you can release yourself from any ball and chain once you have the key or keys. Again, we're back to the need for a shift in paradigms. Selfishness to non-selfishness. Instead of rising to the challenge, most think it's easier to argue for their limitations or simply go AWOL, absent without leave, pretending they're not in the game, when they actually are. There's the shadowlands of zombie world, or there's a fullness of relationship with life. You need to be able to seamlessly go from looking at small detail to thinking of the bigger picture, backwards and forwards between the two, at will. The saying "you can't see the wood for the trees" summarises how some get bogged down in detail. Others do the opposite, lost in abstract fantasy. The aim is to ignore nothing, to fully face reality, embracing personal responsibility, using the anti-hypocrisy test of actions speak louder than words within the context of service before self. Even if you do see the woodland, the forest, is it just our own oasis woods in Sussex, England, or the Amazonian rainforest, or all woodland everywhere? And detail includes every tiny insect living on and within the trees, plus everything else. It's the coherent whole, connectedness, togetherness. One for all for one isn't just a cute saying. It's a reality, the reality. Christians have clearly got it wrong when they believe we're going to either heaven or hell. They've sold themselves, their teachings, well and truly short. And it's a good example of the lack of scale. We have to temporarily assume, play along with, the idea that there's life after death and two places called heaven and hell. So, with all those sinners stuck in hell, would it really be big-minded and big-hearted to merely turn away, ignoring them as you listen to heavenly harp music, thinking they're toast? Wouldn't it be more Christian-like to politely turn down the invitation to enter the pearly gates of heaven, instead heading to a hotter destination, refusing to head upwards until you'd helped all those in hell see the error of their ways? Some of us are slow learners. We mess up, sometimes in bigger ways than intended, carried along by stupidity. But that doesn't mean to say we can never change. Why put time limits on saving the sinners from the flames of eternal damnation? If I'm unhappy with such small-mindedness, and you know by now that I'm a one for all for one lass, wouldn't an all-knowing, omnipotent God likewise have a problem with heaven and hell being trotted out in his name? For the record, as I've said before, we're not in any way religious, and no belief is required whatsoever. What we know is psychology, psychology, psychology. Scale is thinking big, with attention to detail, applying it as appropriate outer action. It's being big. It goes beyond the scaling up known to entrepreneurs in business. There's a mature psychology instead of immaturity, a shifting from selfishness to non-selfishness. Perhaps the first application of scale to the other key factors should be the deepening of meaning and purpose. There needs to be a series of transformations. Right at the beginning, in film number 1, I listed 3 long categories of suffering: personal, criminal activity, and global. It's all harrowing, incredibly hard to bear when it's you going through this suffering, personally affected. And it's unnecessary. When you really get your head around this, genuinely understanding what's going on, that scale, you see it all, everywhere, that it's inevitable until there's a fundamental change of psychology, and you empathise with any and every instance. Life could, should, will one day be massively different to how it is now. Yes, it can be called evolution, but it'll only happen after one hell of a lot of rational understanding and hard work, which is absolutely needed to initiate such a breakthrough. So we've now looked at all 16 key factors in more detail, and we're 2/3 of the way through this series of films. We've examined the basics which are necessary to change your life. From now on, we'll go deeper, getting more serious. I'll see you again soon.